really excited because most of our clients, most of our network, they need the type of coach that you are.
Well, yeah. Wouldn't it be great? Everyone needs a coach. I've got it.
I'll raise the bar on that. This man
Yeah.
behind me is LeBron James. How many coaches does LeBron have?
Well, my God, if you're his coach, then he's.
No, I said I'll raise the bar on how many coaches he has. I hear this phrase a lot in the market. It makes me sad. I hear so many people say, I already have a coach. Yeah. And I'm like, you know how many coaches Bill Gates and Mark Zuckerberg and
you got it. That's why I just said. In fact, I've got a whole ton of coaches, and I've got one of the most brilliant medical wizards. He won the equivalent of the Nobel Prize for chemistry. He's a geneticist. Brilliant. And I'm surrounded by these people, and we all support each other. We coach each other. I coach some of them. They coach me. And then of course I get to pass it on to my clients.
Exactly.
So yeah, we're on the same page.
100%, man.
Probably read all the same books. Your first book was, I got 12 years old. I got Think and Grow Rich and Psycho-Cybernetics. The next year
that's big.
I got an album the next year by Earl Nightingale, The Strangest Secret. And so by then I was hooked. At the age of 13, I ended up actually going out and because that album got used up, scratched up, and then I got it when it was a cassette, when it was an 8-track, when every version of it, CD, and I got a hold of the original mint album in its original packaging from Earl Nightingale's The Strangest Secret. And I'm going to frame that sucker and put it up on my wall and say, that's how we get there.
Brother, that's amazing.
You can't learn everything the hard way.
Well, it shows that you've definitely been consuming that content for a long time. You'll appreciate this a little bit. Then I keep this on my desk. I probably shouldn't.
I love it.
This is a little golden book from Dale Carnegie. And it is an original OG lead magnet, right, from 1936.
Oh, I have so I winter in Michigan, but my primary residence is in Scottsdale, and that's where all my stuff is, all my good stuff. Because I was like going, I'm going to go grab my original. I thought, wait a minute, they're not here. all my comfort books.
Well, Mark, I'm glad I really am. I'm glad that we had this happen the way that it did, because I want to make sure that we fully honor you in the process of the interview and talk a little bit about that. So Beyond the Wealth is a phenomenal conversation topic. And I know we'd only booked this for 30 minutes. I'm happy to take another 30 minutes, if you have the time and place and if it makes sense, because cramming that into 10 minutes, it would be possible. But I think there's a bigger opportunity at hand, and I'd like to make sure that we talk about that. Is that okay?
I would absolutely love that. I can tell you just the reality part alone. They've been trying to teach that for 3,000 years. Lao Tzu was trying to teach it. Socrates, Plato, the allegory of the cave. Mm-hmm. They have been trying to teach the nature of reality for 3,000 years and still haven't pulled it off. You think about it. Socrates was teaching the nature of reality at the same time as he was teaching that the earth is round. And so people think that came way later. Well, it didn't go mainstream until 800 years later. But he had already figured out that the earth had to be round. He's looking at the shadows on the moon. And he had figured out that the sun was not a Greek god named Helios who was flying around in a burning, flaming chariot, but rather that the sun was staying still and we were spinning. And everybody's like, you are out of your mind. As brilliant as he was, they didn't buy that the earth was round, the sun was spinning around us, or that we create reality within our minds. And the only reality we'll ever know is a subjective reality based on our perceptions and interpretations. But 3,000 years later, well, the whole world accepts that the earth is round, the sun is going around it. They've been doing that for like 1,500 years. And they still... In fact, I went to GPT-5 and asked it, what percentage of the planet do you think actually accepts and lives an intentional life based on the principles that the only reality any of us will ever truly understand or experience is our own interpretation of the physical world, is our own subjective reality? And it said maximum 1 to 3%. And I said, now what percentage believes that the earth is round? And it said 99.99%. I was like, and which of them do you think actually has a greater impact on our life? The fact that the earth is round doesn't have a lot of impact on me.
That's a really good point. That's fun.
You know, I mean, I'm not hooking myself to the ground every time we tip upside down. I mean,
You'll
I
love
could have
this,
gone
Mark.
through a whole life without knowing the earth was round.
Here's some fun
Go
data
ahead.
for you. I need to find the screenshot for you. I was doing a really deep dive about 6 months ago, a chat on transformational versus transactional leadership. And I was creating an assessment that people can't tell which side they're leaning towards as they're taking this culture quiz, right?
Yeah.
And so I got diving deeper and deeper into our core values with it of love, patience, persistence, consistency, and reliability. And so we're diving so far deep into this that I finally am like, okay, because ChatGPT is just, it's like learning left and right. And it's kind of placating me over and over in very, very big but sincere ways and tying stuff to Patrick Lencioni and John Maxwell and Pat. And I'm going, okay, so what percentage of users have conversations like this with you? And at first it was like, well, I said, in what type of data? It's like, well, I can't reveal the actual data. And it says, but in terms of emotional intelligent conversations of this magnitude, 0.0000001%.
Isn't it? Oh, go ahead. This is, I love hearing this.
It basically boiled down to there's about 800 people on Earth.
Yeah,
that are doing
it's both incredibly validating. It's like, wow, okay, I'm rocking it. And then it's also just horrifically discouraging because so the whole world is basically still in the dark ages.
Yeah. Have you got to know who Stanley Milgram is, right? Did you see The Experimenter, the movie?
Which movie?
This is so cool. Oh my gosh, Mark, I'm not going to ruin the movie for you because it is Christopher Nolan level, like mind bending. But Stanley Milgram, I had no idea who this was, and only because of the movie I know. It's about the scientist who is doing electric shock treatments to people in the 60s, 70s. That and he's the same sociologist who proved the reality that we're only 6 degrees of separation, which is now we're only 3 degrees of separation. But the movie puts you in the position of, okay, this guy, wait a second, is he actually doing what the world's accusing him of doing? Or is the media twisting this reality so that everybody fears and everybody has this feeling? And is his process, is what he's doing changing the world forever by opening our eyes up to a state of self-awareness? Or is he just this crazy nut job who's hurting people? It is the most mind, and I don't want to ruin the movie.
I have to see it. What's the name of this?
It's called The Experimenter.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
And it is literally one of the best guides for human beings to catch the reality of what you and I already appreciate. It is so masterful how they do that movie.
You know what? Well, of course, being a filmmaker, I use films constantly in my teachings because you can get you get the backstory, you get the foreshadowing, you get all in a 30-second clip or just describing. You know that scene where Neo has to decide between the blue pill and the red pill? Well, this is that moment for you. Are you ready? Oh my gosh. We are in such alignment. I have a word for it. It's called EGO.
There you go.
Do something so that it's, I mean, what you're doing is so unique and original. I have a whole thing about no more letting ego hijack your life. And so we're teaching the same lesson in just in different ways, but you get it. There is that separate entity, that ego entity, that if it hijacks your life, the conversation you're about to have is not going to be a conversation because ego just wants to look good, win, be right. It's just going to be an argument if their ego engages. And so
we have 8 billion people to help on this earth, don't we? And doing that alone is just not my ambition.
You know what?
Bringing great people together is.
I hear you. I have the band. I don't have the bandwidth. Well, that's what my whole mission statement is, to raise human consciousness on a global scale. Huge. And people go, oh, okay, well, yeah. How are you going to do that? And I go, well, it's not by myself, I'll tell you that.
See, and that's huge because my vision is to bridge the economic gap between North America, South America, and rest of the world.
Oh, wow.
And so I absolutely love what you're doing. It is so necessary. I don't have that skill set and talent at that level. I have the appreciation for what you do. 100%. I have the appreciation for what's possible.
Oh,
Yet
I have a feeling you have the understanding. You have a few other things. I can hear it.
It's going to be fun. So Mark, we've been planning this for a while, for having you on the show again and for moving forward. And I'm grateful that we are going to get to gamify some of this process to be able to work together on releasing not just a killer episode and perhaps a series that ends up inspiring people, but to also look at what I really wanted to look at today, as I got your email about Beyond Wealth. And so we'll edit what we want out of this episode. But as I got that email, I had a meditation with myself on, okay, how do I make sure I prepare well for this so that we honor the process of being able to give your whole value to the audience so they can eat that up and use it for their lives? And how do I make sure that I have an impact on you as well, to where we can reach even more people with an even more powerful strategy? Because it's a good idea that the podcast world often leans into.
Yeah.
But that doesn't make it a great idea for distribution and a great idea for long-term big success. And so I wanted to take the time to talk to you about the strategy of positioning yourself, myself, the show, the experience for the audience, so that we don't fall into the same trap that most podcasts fall into, that leads to this perpetual process of busy, broke noise.
Yeah. And just disseminating information. There's more information out there than you could absorb in a 1,000 lifetimes.
So do you mind if I share with you where that comes from?
Yeah, I'd love that.
Okay. I have a lot of string of good fortune due to putting myself, or God putting me in the right places. Right. It led to a path where I ended up at Video Power Marketing, and my very first strategy session when I was with Jake Larson there. I didn't want to take strategy sessions, by the way. That was not my idea of fun yet. He was already known as the YouTube ad expert of the world. We had minimum client spend was $10,000 per month on YouTube ads. This was in 2013. YouTube wasn't popular. You were spending $100,000 on Facebook and Google and traditional marketing if you came and spent with us. Or you were just like a crazy raw experimenter like John Lee Dumas of Entrepreneur Fire, who spent with us, or Dan Martell of SaaS Academy. There were some early adopters who came in and could see the vision, but most people and them were in phenomenal, successful positions. And so they'd come into this strategy session with Jake, the guy, the YouTube expert of the world. I mean, he was crowned by the founder of YouTube as one of the 10 ambassadors of YouTube. And so they would come in and they'd spend $497 to meet with Jake.
Okay.
So when I had to take that first session where they were going to meet with just Jackson, who they didn't know, and I was not part of the funnel, and I was not part of the experience. And my very first session was with a guy named Dr. Eric Berg. And the last thing I wanted to meet was somebody who might be pretentious, who's a doctor, is going to be like, what do you know? Where's Jake? Why is Jake not here? I paid $497 not to meet you. I had no idea. I was terrified. And I also happened to be very direct. And I was far less diplomatic then than I am now. So Eric is coming on and I'm terrified because of what I have to reveal to him. One, he's not ready to scale. And this is a guy who has 160,000 subscribers on YouTube already. And he's a doctor. So who am I? Again, just Jackson, to talk to him about this. Right. So he comes on and, I say, hey, Dr. Berg, how are you? And he says, I'm doing well, Jackson. He sees the name and he addressed me real nice. And he says, just call me Eric. And I say, okay, Dr. Eric Berg. I'm excited to dive in. He said, he let me finish. And he said, Jackson, it's just Eric. I'm looking forward to this. And I'm like, man, he's just melting my soul. As a leader, I didn't know what was happening. I was just excited. I was just like finally calm. Yeah. But I still have to reveal some truths to him. So I said, okay, when we can't run ads for you right now because of a number of things that need to be adjusted on your end, and we want you to be successful, but we need you to make these adjustments in order for your ads to be victorious, to be able to convert people. And I said, okay, great. So I saw he had his little pen and his paper, and he's moving for that. It's like, okay, go ahead, Jackson. What do you got? And I said, so number one, the colors on your branding are bright yellow and bright red, which screams caution and stop signs and danger.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, that's good. So do you guys do branding and stuff like that? I'm like, no, we just do the video. And he's like, okay, well, give me 3 days. I'll fix it. I'm like, okay, cool. He's not Mark. 90% of business owners argue with me about crap like that. Like all the time. And so I'm like, okay, good. He heard that. So he said, okay, number
He
two.
was not attached.
You're gonna go to a bunch of restaurants this year. How many more newsletters do you want from restaurants? He said, none. Nobody wants your newsletter.
Yep.
What do I do? I said, you got to create an irresistible offer, something that really gives people the reason to want to give you their private information. And it's like, okay, I got an assistant. I can do that. And then Jackson's normal self comes out. And I said, can I just be blunt with you? Yeah. I said, I wouldn't touch your website with a 10-foot pole. I would never go to it. I would never send friends and family to it. If I put my information on that site, it looks like somebody's going to steal my identity next. It is awful. You are not going to win with that website.
Oh, wow.
And Eric says, okay, give me 3 days. I don't know how he did it, but the man came back with a completely overhauled brand. His brand then looked a lot more like yours. Your brand's actually really nice. You got a lot of things going on for your brand. And so he makes that shift. And of course, he's invested in the ad strategies. For those of you who don't know, Dr. Eric Berg is a Google search away. The man has gone from 160,000 subscribers to, I think, over 13 million subscribers at this point. I don't know very many naturopaths who don't know and follow what Dr. Eric Berg is up to. So I didn't do that.
Yeah.
Eric did that.
Yeah.
But he did that by plugging into the strategists, by making sure that he knew and understood how positioning and strategy and scale, there's a science to it.
Yeah.
And when you buy into that and when you keep moving towards that, you can bless people at the level that he's blessing people at. I see you, Mark Fournier. You have Dr. Eric Berg in you. You have that. You've already been on the stages too. You've already built a lot of things. You have the ability to lead beyond those levels.
Hey, I love hearing that. I love the validation, and I intend to live into that and live up to that. And thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. The
Inspiring.
little buzz came back for a second. I don't know what happened, but it went away again. So I think you put your hand on something possibly, but
Oh yeah, maybe.
and that's all right. We'll figure that out. But the Diary of a CEO. You've heard of that show with Stephen Bartlett?
I have not watched it. I haven't seen a single episode.
I've never seen a full episode. I'm not a consumer. I'm a producer. And so I don't recommend it, but I do recommend.
Not in my notes to you, but I just now added that to my next event.
Do your best to watch a tiny fragment of that show and escape. Get out. Do everything you can not to fall into that funnel, because it is so good. It is so irresistible the way he does that content. And that's the type of interview, Dr. Fournier, that you really need. That type where you're back and forth
Just
with
call me
Stephen
Mark.
Bartlett.
Just,
There we go.
Just Mark.
There we go, Mark. So I got another show called The Be Your Best Show. And The Be Your Best Show is designed to, I want to eventually do those types of interviews, these 2 to 3 hour sit downs where we dive deep into things like Beyond Wealth. And we go back and forth on the subject. Obviously, everybody knows that I'm just the interviewer. And everybody knows that you are the one who's created the package on that. But that to honor what you have and what you've built, we cannot wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, that process.
Yeah.
There's lots of podcasters who will do that for you to their audience. But we're trying to do things for our audience with you.
Yeah. You want to transform lives. That's why I stopped doing my stage work. I thought, you know what? Certainly not in a 20-minute keynote and not even in a 2-hour training session. I'm not going to transform someone's life to the degree that I have in my heart and to the degree that they have, that they're hoping for in that period of time. I mean, we're replacing decades of conditioning and thoughts and beliefs that but during those periods, we can stimulate their curiosity. We can inspire them to dig more deeply.
Yeah.
But then we'd better send them somewhere where they can, which is why I do my one-on-one coaching, because I realize that what I really want to do with a client is it's going to take me a year. And that means I only coach 10 clients per year. And so then what do I do? How am I going to raise consciousness on a global scale if I'm only coaching 10 clients per year? Well, for one, my 10 clients are ultra high net worth, very powerful people. And part of there's a prerequisite that they agree that they will start and run a humanitarian philanthropic program. And of course, then they use their resources, which are enormous. And so I spread it out that way. But then the rest of it that's Limitless University. It's a 501c3, and it's basically everything that I'm not providing directly to that 10 clients per year, I give it away, all of it. The podcast we're doing right now, I want the whole world to be aware of the power we have to change the world by changing our own lives. Because in the end, enlightened people don't abuse. Enlightened people, they don't abuse themselves, they don't abuse others, they don't abuse the planet, and they don't allow abuse within their area of influence.
That's right.
And so, my goodness, if we could just tip that scale.
Huge. It's huge. Tribal leadership helped me open my eyes to that too. On the 2% of companies are in that life is abundant environment. And you're absolutely right. If we can tip that scale, then we can also unlock the reality of 96% of entrepreneurs fail within 10 years, 4% survive. What if we took it from a 4% survival to even a 6%? Yeah. Right? What if we took it to where more people thrived? And how do we recognize the brands that have survived it and thrived it in an ethical fashion versus those who may not have, right? There's such a small piece. So we have so many opportunities, and that pill process, right, that we just went through, that little fun game.
I love the game, by the way.
Last Tuesday,
you used AI to create that.
Last Tuesday, I discovered the ability to start creating those, and it took me it's still raw, it's still not finished, but that whole process, few of those. That whole process took me 4 to 5 hours to create. That was it.
Isn't it great?
It's just so fast.
Actually, do you realize the dopamine we are getting from when I actually went in and asked? I said, "Listen, I'm a morning person. I'm up working at 5:30 in the morning, and I am fried by 6 o'clock. I mean, I've put in 12 hours, and my energy level, the bandwidth is blown.
I'm pretty maniacal.
And I got into AI, and now I'm up 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, and I'm just going. And I said, what's happening here? And of course, I gave it my entire profile. I wanted it to know every detail. And by the way, it will give you different answers once it knows who you are. But you got to commit this to persistent memory. Right. Those 2 words. Otherwise, it'll forget you from chat to chat. But if you want to go across all the chats and your agents and your projects, you say, I want this committed to persistent memory. And I spent about 3 days feeding it my websites, books, everything, so it would understand me inside and out. Yeah. And so at a certain point, I was able to say, now we're going to start kicking some butt. And so it knows that I've got OCD, I've got ADHD, I have I am what's called negative comped. So I don't produce enough dopamine, and the dopamine I do produce gets used up instantly. And oh, by the way, almost all my clients are the same. There's a correlation between successful entrepreneurs and low dopamine and ADD and ADHD, and because those are also dopamine related. And so we're up there getting our dopamine every time we conquer the next whatever it is. And so it came back and it said the reason why you're putting in these 18-hour days is because you're getting so much dopamine. You're used to a project taking 3 weeks from the day you think of it, or 3 months, and you and I are doing it in 3 hours. And there's nothing that feels better than that to a creator, to a producer, is to think of something and it's already done 3 hours later. It's like, I can hardly wait to finish our podcast so I can go do that some more.
Exactly.
I'm so addicted.
It is something that is so interesting to pass through. Visionaries, those of you listening in right now, we just had a master class on building a foundation for our relationship with AI that we use. And I'm going to take that up one more notch. How many of us are feeding our team members and our loved ones that same level of information about who we are? More importantly, how many of us are diving in and trying to understand their information, who they are? We have so much opportunity to dive into that and to realize that, yes, while we can feed ChatGPT as though any responsible billion-dollar company would for their new assistants, they would put them in training programs for days, weeks, months to make sure they're on point. When are we going to start doing that for the people around us?
Oh, I love it. Oh,
So
my
much
God.
opportunity.
You know, it's one of the first requirements as well when I start coaching with someone. They say, listen, the 3 fastest ways to master something. It's not sexy, but I figured it out after studying everyone from spelling bee contest winners to the military to musicians to artists to the best of the best. What did they do? How did they master? And there was just 3 simple things. One, when you learn something, I mean, if possible, before you go to bed tonight, because your brain is purging stuff constantly, find some way to apply it to your life. Find some way, because your brain will say, oh, well, he's putting this to use. This must be important. The other simple thing throughout the week, as long as you can, spaced repetition. Now, I'm not talking about like, I will not, stick gum on the wall 100 times in a row. No, it's you write it one time, and then tomorrow you're going to write it again, and you're going to do it for 100 days. So it's when we space it out. So that was the second one, was spaced repetition. And the third one, which is, it's like, oh, why that one, is teach it to someone else.
Yeah.
And what happens is, you see your brain, think of it back in the hunter-gatherer days. You're walking down a path, and all of a sudden you walk into a cave, and there's a grizzly bear in there with cubs. And you get the hell out of there before she sees you. And you run back to your tribe, and you tell them about it. Don't go down that path. Don't go in that cave. And as you're explaining it to them, you're now saving half the people in your tribe, or at least somebody important.
Yes.
And so the brain started developing in a way that said, when we teach something, that means it's got to be really important. If we tell it to someone else, it now moves it to a different part of our brain. Oh, and now you're surrounding yourself with people who also understand. In relationships, I give my clients, listen, I'm going to show you how to, you want to walk into a room and be like king of the world. For clients, if they're introverts and they're like, I don't feel comfortable. And I say, listen, I'm going to tell you the secret. And it's not just self-serving. It's underneath it all. We have a driving force to be validated that is so powerful that it's behind the house you buy, the watch you buy, the car you drive, right down to even your clothes. And people go, well, what if somebody wears unusual clothes? They think they'll be validated for their creativity, for their originality. But we are indirectly asking everyone, tell me I'm okay. And so if we're all doing that, well, what is validation? It really comes down to 2 simple things. It's compliments, so it's approving of them, and it's appreciation. It's thanking them. So I say, you walk in any scenario and you just be the person in there who is approving. And by the way, don't make anything up. Well, what if I can't think of anything nice to say? Well, you're not looking hard enough. There's something wonderful about everyone. So you be the one who's in there thanking people for whatever gesture and recognizing something special. And instantly the egos just melt away. And then you get that real person. If you want to take it a step further, ask about them. And you get to learn who they are. You get to understand them better, and they get to feel heard and seen. And that's simple little things, but man, it can change your life forever. And if you turn around and tell that to everyone you know, then you're surrounded by people who are all so busy validating each other that ego has no reason to engage. I feel like I'm okay. I don't need my ego to step in and protect me. Sorry, I just went off.
I'm so happy you did. No. Vision Pros. Again, we've one of the realities in life is that when I worked, the coaches that I've worked with, the huge leaders that we worked with at Video Power and Beyond, I always heard certain people come into those rooms or leave those types of seminars and say things like, man, this is elementary and basic stuff. I remember this from kindergarten. What's funny is the best of the best that I've worked with, they create that kindergarten environment every day.
Yeah.
They love to live and play, and that sense of wonder and that sense of authenticity and that sense of these are the things that matter. And we were not meant to leave them behind. It's not because we're childish. It's because we are childlike recipients of knowledge, of growth, of what exists.
Oh,
So
yeah.
Mark has worked with Donna Johnson, Clyde Bodden, Rita Davenport, Cameron Bodden, Austin Clark. I mean, the names on this list, Dr. Mark Rosenblum, and
He's my geneticist.
There's so many people that are on the list that you have worked with and that rave about your ability to coach and your ability to help them move to the next level. And
Thank
so
you.
I'm very, very grateful that you came on the show with us today. Those of you who are listening in, there's a button in the top right corner. It says, be our guest. Come and share your vision. Even if it's the first time that you're sharing it, we want to hear it. You might be the next Mark Fournier. You might be the next Elon Musk, the next Thomas Edison. We don't know. But we do want to get to know you. We do want to see what you have to offer. And you can find Mark's books. Mark, what's the most important link that comes to mind
probably
right
just type in Mark Fournier Presents.
Mark
And that'll
Fournier.
take you anywhere. That'll take you to everything.
Good.
Mark Fournier Presents. And it's all the stuff I do.
And you got the abundance right there, my friends. My hope too is that you'll take that. And just like I do with the great books, with the authors who are alive these days, I don't stick with the well. I want to go to the author who built the well. I want to go and spend some time with them and see what's coming next. How are we doing that? So reach out to Mark and we'll see you guys on the next episode of Vision Pros Live. Thank you for being here today. I'm really happy that you tuned in to Vision Pros Live. I'm looking forward to seeing your reactions as these episodes continue to move forward. This is going to get more and more fun. We'll have more and more engagement as well. We'll invite people to participate in the show. And thank you for giving us your time and attention. Have an excellent time building out your vision and becoming a vision pro yourself.